so. No, 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 no. I don't think so. No, 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 no. It's never, ever, 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 ever gonna happen. I don't think so. No, 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 no. I don't think so. No, 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 no. It's never, ever, 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 ever gonna happen. I don't think so. No, 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 no. Maybe someday you'll have it your way. Maybe someday it'll all work out. Until then, don't.
And so folks, there it is. The race bib marked up. Do you keep your race bibs? Let me know in the comments. I do keep my race bibs. So I get the pack. And I just basically just keep in an envelope like that. You can see there's all my race bibs. And now we're going afterwards because we'll talk about it first. But yeah, sometimes I noticed the first time I ever seen that Sefton Moore does that. I've always kept my race bibs anyway, or most of them. And I thought it's quite interesting just to put a few notes on there so you can go through back and look at them. And we do from time to time, see it, I don't know, maybe once a year, go through them sometimes after we've done a race and review what you've said. So yeah, great first 25k as planned. Cramp from 26k, battle to the end. However, I am proud of it and it's one of my races so far. 3 hour 41:21. Hello everybody, Matt here on the planet, and today we'll be reviewing the Barcelona marathon race. So we're kind of like 36k in now, so I'm going to do a race review breakdown kind of thing. So the plan today was to come here and run what I run in training, and then I wouldn't get the cramp, which is basically 3 times 13k a marathon goal pace. Now 4:15 is not the pace I've been running in training, it's been 4:30, but that's because the route that I run is a lot more challenging than this. So it's, you know, I can sometimes hit 4:15 at 1 kilometre for 1 kilometre. Usually it's somewhere between 4:25, 4:35 in the early stints. And the best one I did run that kind of pace towards the end of it, at the end of the 42k. So I know I can do that, obviously with a few more breaks. But I've run about a 4:20 on that course. So today the idea was to go out at 4:15, a little bit easy on the first 2 stints, and then see what I can do. And the first 2 stints were good. I was quite happy with those. I started to slow down a little bit in the end of the second one. I did have a toilet break in there as well somewhere. But yeah, these cramp devils come. I don't know why. I've got more hydration than I've had before. I've got everything the same as what I've done in the run. I've just taken the finisher gel with an extra gel. So I can't really put my finger on it at the moment. But I'm not bothered. I came here. If you don't try these things, you never find out. And I'm trying to run sub-3 marathon, so I was really happy with it. Like the first 30k, that first 28k something was really on pace to where I wanted to be. So I'm treating, you know, today as a training marathon. So we still got 6k to go. So let's pick it up, and I'll run what I can and what I can't run. Yeah, I think first of all, I'm also going to look at the computer and tell you and show you some data. First of all, I would just like to say the video I've just put out, actually today's Sunday when I'm recording this. It's going to take a bit of time before it comes out to you because I've got to edit it and put a few things, clips, bits and bobs in there. The video that I put up on YouTube of the race, so it's come out basically a week later, has been very well received. Thank you very much. Just in kind of like one day, or about one day, we've got like over 800 views on it. Typically a race video for me, we might see about 1,000 in the first first few days, a week kind of thing, and then sometimes I grow on a bit from there depending how the race has gone, which races and what people are interested in. So yeah, thanks very much to people on YouTube watching the video. The subscribers count on my channel is going through the roof for some reason, so hopefully it's because I've put out a good video. Thank you very much for watching. I think it might have also helped as well because I've appeared up on Woo's channel He did an amazing job, sub 3. Great to know him and great to be there when you did that. And yeah, so thanks for everybody's support. People on the race course, probably had about 20 people called out my name or Run the Planet. Most people call out Run the Planet, so it's probably because of reading out, go on, get down the road, Matt, Run the Planet. But there were a few people who knew by name, so it was amazing to see people out on the course who actually knew. I recorded one guy, but I couldn't obviously, go back in time and record everybody who called us out. It's just too much, but it's an amazing race. Really enjoyed it, amazing place. So thanks to people on the course, thanks to people that support me on the channel, support me on Strava. Big thanks to my wife, because we couldn't have been able to make that video without her being there. She recorded me on the race. She also got a few snaps of the woo as well. She also recorded, she was running around the course. She actually ran 15 kilometers herself in the day, chasing me on the route, so it's not easy to do. And with the camera and that, trying to catch us. So yeah, once again, a big thanks to my wife. She was there supporting me, giving me the drinks through the race, and obviously also recorded the pros as well. So it was, like I said, it would have been very difficult to make the video, shall I say, as good as it was, without support from my wife. So it's not just me, half myself, half my wife putting that video together. Took about 15 hours to edit as well. It's quite a long edit for that one, but I was quite inspired again by what Woo managed to achieve of his 3-year journey to a sub 3 marathon, and so I encourage you to go over to his channel and take a look at this video, because that's awesome. So I actually really enjoyed putting this video together and editing it and enjoying the race. So let's go into it. So I've also had a lot of support, and I've also had a lot of criticism, some criticism for my efforts. And people have seen me training, and training at kind of 3:10 per kilometre pace, which is kind of that pace is limited to the area where I can train. I can't really get much past that unless I can run on the roads, and that's only when it's really early morning when there's no cars around. So it's quite difficult to run on the course, but that's kind of like the best that I've got. So I went at the race knowing that it's an opportunity for me to get on the racetrack and practice for 15 minutes per kilometre pace. My goal, my plan and my goal had kind of morphed and changed with a couple of months leading up to it, but the bit in there that stuck was to run 32 kilometres of it at marathon goal pace, which is sub 3 hour marathon pace. So that's kind of like 4:15 or 4:16 pace is what you want to get at. I had toyed with the idea of going out slow at the start, doing 5 kilometres, and then going for the 32, and then and a few other permutations on it. But the one I ended up agreeing, this was kind of like in the week, finalising it in the week running up to that I was going to go out, see how I felt on the start line. I'd had a really good taper. Probably didn't run as much mileage as I wanted to in the taper, but it meant I was a lot fresher. And the fueling had gone really well. So what I wanted to do was to kind of like to go out pretty much at marathon goal pace. If it was really hard for the first couple of kilometres, I wouldn't have gone with it. But it was very easy to get into 4:15 minutes per kilometre pace. I think the first split I had came in at 4:20. Let's have a look. Yeah, so we went 4:20, 4:24. And 4:18, so there's a little bit of an incline at the start, but that was it. And then 4:13, 4:10, so the pace was picking up. So I've gone with the strategy of 32 kilometres at marathon goal pace, coming off the back of my half marathon time, which is 4:15 per kilometre in last October at the Manchester half, where I ran 21k at that. And at the end of that, I said I think I could run about 30 kilometres or so, 32 kilometres at marathon goal pace. But there's nowhere I can really train like that, so I used Barcelona as a bit of an experiment like that. But I also wanted to run it in a similar format that I run in my training. So typically, if you watch me training, yes, I've done one 40k long run where I ran 27 kilometres at marathon goal pace, but usually I do somewhere between 10 and 13 times 3 at marathon goal pace, but I have water stops and refueling stops, so I don't have to carry the drink with me. So the plan was to go 13 kilometres, which actually changed to about 15 and 16 kilometres when we looked at the route, because it was about the place where I could meet my wife, and she could pass me over the modern drink. So basically we went flat out at 4:15 minutes per kilometre to the first point we're going to stop, which is which was 16 kilometres in this case. Took on some Morton, which had some electrolytes in there. As well as something else I've been testing in training, putting my Morton electrolyte, my Noon electrolytes, or precision electrolytes, or a combination of both, which is what I had in the race, into my Morton bottle, so 500 mils of water. So I took that on and drank that. And usually I'll stop at I get back to the car in training, stop at the car, drink, take on a gel if it's a point to take on a gel, and drink the 500 mils of Morton drink, and then get back on it. So that was part of the plan. So immediately, if you'd been following me through the race, you'd go, oh bloody hell, Matt's on 4:15 minutes per kilometre pace. He's going for it. He's looking good for sub 3 at that point. And that was to go out with that pace. But I never really intended or felt that it was on that I was going to run sub 3 marathon come the end of the race. But if everything had felt really good and I was getting a 37k and I could keep going, I would have kept going. But the plan really was to do 32k and then just kind of like back off and be quite happy to bundle back in at about somewhere between 5 minutes per kilometre and 5:30 per kilometre. Even if I was struggling with a little bit of cramp, I've had that before and still been able to kind of hold that pace at the end of a marathon, and that would have brought me in somewhere between 3:10 and 3:15, and I'd have been quite happy with that. However, didn't go to plan. Managed to only get about 25k before I started feeling the cramp coming on. Didn't actually feel the cramp until 26k, till after I'd met my wife the second time. And I'd taken on a ketone IQ gel. So incidentally, before I got cramp, let's just tell you that. So I had 6 of these gels, 2 calf and 4 normal ones. Took the first one to 2k and then about 6k average, from then on inwards. I had a Focus 90, not the cherry one, the lemon one, I think it was. I think I had the lemon one, at about 32k or something like that, which left me with another Morton. And all was going well. I did take one of the finished gels off the course, which I managed to get some of those before and try them out. And they're okay, I just don't think they're strong enough energy-wise. But taste nice. They only have about 20 grams of carbs in or something like that per pack. All the water stops along the race were at 5 kilometres to start with, and intervals of that, and then as it got on, maybe at 10k onwards, they're every 2.5k. Sometimes they had the finished gel, sometimes they didn't, but they had water, and he had Aquarius NEG drink that you could get hold of. So when I would have stopped at 26, but 25 is where the water station was, and I needed water. So what I've done is I carried some Morton mixed as minimal as possible, so I was probably about 200 ml, maybe 250 ml in there to keep it light. And then when I stopped off at the water station, I struggled to actually get the lid off because it's all a bit soft and didn't do well with the gloves and a bit sweat on the hands and stuff like that. It's a bit difficult to open it up. And then I put in 3 cups of water off the course. You might have seen that in the race video, and that was me fueling up the second time. So maybe a little bit different to training. I probably fueled up a few kilometres later for the first stint, and then maybe 1 kilometre early for the second stint. Probably didn't make much difference. However, I probably took on another, at that stage I'd probably already taken on all my fuel, probably an extra, 300, 400 mils of actual Morton, and that's the Morton mix as well. So probably took on a little bit more than I would do normally. And I think I'd have a lot more Morton. I did have a lot more Morton. I had essentially an extra bottle of Morton the morning before because my stomach could handle it. So there was a kind of bit of a fueling difference. And that's kind of like, as we lead on to cramp, that's probably a little bit of a thing that I'm thinking that might be the issue, that I've in training over the last few months, I've been ramping up my water intake and my Morton intake, and trying to get on board as much nutrition as I could in the run. What my thought was on taking too much in is that while the blood is normally around the muscles, they're generating the energy that you need to move forward. And obviously, if you take food on, you take like fuel source on, the bloods obviously go back to the stomach, or after the stomach into the intestines, to kind of like to pick up that fuel as it's transported out into the bloodstream. So I think it's potentially what could have brought the issue on was maybe And I mean, I'm only clutching at straws here, so we don't really know what goes on with cramp and why people get it. But I definitely got it too early, and there's a couple of reasons. I think this is one of the reasons. So while the blood's not at my muscles, it's in my stomach trying to grab that extra bit of energy because it knows it needs it, because I've already burnt out, a lot of my glycogen stores because I've been running like a maniac for 25k. It kind of brings on cramp a bit early. It's harder for the body to mobilize fat as a fuel source as well. So maybe that's an issue, maybe not. I just should have stayed to my nutrition as per my training. The other thing, so yeah, from 26k on, then it was a battle with cramp. And when we're looking at the splits, it came on easy, and it just got a little bit harder as it was. But the thing is, I thought of every type of cramp that I could have in a marathon, and it was probably a little bit different this time. Whereas I was getting it locked on. I didn't have the big lockup with the hamstrings that I've had before when I was at Valencia, where I just literally couldn't get it out, couldn't move the muscle back. It was always movable, but I was kind of like, as I was stretching out my hamstrings, then kind of like the muscles around the knees were kind of like cramping up, all the calves. So I have to be careful how I straighten myself out. The slowest splits that I got, where so it was kind of like a run walk strategy towards the end, but looking at where I really struggled with it was between 35 to kind of 38k. And somebody actually noticed on the Strava traces after the race, actually, did you not pick it up back again after that? And it was about 37k. I kind of like picked it up, and I'm running like 6 minutes per kilometer, and the last 500 meters comes in at under 6 or 5:45 per kilometer. So I kind of had a bit of recovery. So some of those splits I did again stop for a toilet break. Looking at 35, 9:35 per kilometer, 36, 9:35 per kilometer, 37, 8:16 per kilometer, 38, 7:45 per kilometer. So they're really slow, and I'm sure one or two of those are actually slower than that when I stopped, because I forgot to turn the auto pause off on my watch at that time. So there was definitely some even slower stints in there than there was recording by that I can see in Strava and the Garmin data. The other thing that I thought might have brought me cramp on potentially is the shoes. Now let's look at the shoes that I use. I've used these because they're so expensive. I don't use them in training regularly, but now that I've used this quite a bit, there's 200 kilometers on it now, I might have to start doing it. So I've done a full marathon training. We're in towards the end of November, where I managed to run a PR in the marathon in training, but obviously it's training for a marathon, and obviously your watch counts always a little bit short than a marathon distance. So let's say I didn't quite PR. I ran around about 3:22ish, maybe it was 3:23 or something like that. The only other 2 times I've used this in that kind of distance is when I ran the Valencia Marathon and I cramped up at 28k, and then I used it in Barcelona where I started cramping up at kind of like 25, 26. I'd probably say 26 onwards. So maybe it's the shoes to a certain extent that require, there's really not much stability. Although I don't run, I'm more of a mid-foot to forefoot runner, heel striker, not really a heel striker. But I think they do require a lot more, or do take a lot more energy out of your legs, even though you can run faster. The other thing to look at as well is my heart rate. Bizarrely, for whatever reason, I don't know why, I didn't look at the heart rate once. I mean, I was kind of like obsessed with pace and the time that I was running and making sure I was getting my fueling right, that I forgot to look at my heart rate. The numbers on the watch constantly, all the time. Can I show you a screen? So you can see, if you can see that heart rate is up there in the top right hand corner, or it is when I'm looking at it. And for whatever reason, I didn't look at it once. If I'd have, as you've seen on the race video, I looked at I presented all the stats for the heart rate, and I was basically, after a few kilometers, 5 kilometers or so, I was hitting 170 beats per minute. So, and that was pretty much the heart rate I was hitting for like 21k, and pretty much up to 25k. So when I'm doing these runs, I try and keep it around about 160 where I'm doing these runs around the quayside. So from just kind of getting over my LT1 into my LT2, I was really on the limit of LT2 in the race, which if I'd have looked at my watch and seen my heart rate and keep seeing it there all the time, because I was wearing the heart rate strap, and I'm pretty confident that this is accurate, the Chorus heart rate strap. If I'd have seen that, I'd have probably realised and backed off a little bit, but I was feeling very, very good in the race. And to me, until 25k, there was no real sign that cramp was coming, and I really wasn't expecting it till about 32k. But it is what it is, and that's what happened. So yeah, maybe I got my nutrition slightly wrong. That might be a reason. The shoes might be a reason. Let myself, put basically running too hard at a pace that I can't. The pace at 4:15 felt like the pace at 4:30, if not probably slightly easier than I'd be running on the quayside. So to recap, it was me trying to run 3 times 13k with 2 breaks of about 60 seconds in between. So I was never going to get, really, with that strategy, unless something amazing happened, a bit of divine intervention, I was never really going to get 3 hours in the marathon, or sub 3. But if it had all gone really smoothly to plan, maybe I could have got, on the perfect day, 3 or 5 or something. The conditions were perfect, really, close to perfect. About 7 degrees at the start, about 12 degrees at the finish. There wasn't much wind, but when you got it, it was cool, so it was nice and refreshing. It was maybe a little bit hot towards the end, but that really didn't stop me. I'd already had me problems before that. If you're going to make it a perfect day, probably make it overcast so there's no sun at all for me. But when are you ever going to get the perfect day? Although that was Manchester in October last year when I ran my half marathon PB, 1:29:45. It's funny how those numbers stick with you, isn't it? So what else? My belt pouch. I'll tell you about my belt pouch. I did have my belt. This is a bit of kit I was using. I've used this kind of like once before the run, and it's got kind of an open pouch at the front. It's quite big. It runs all the way down here, so you can get so I managed to get me Morton drink bottle in the soft flask in there, and a few gels. But it was it was really fiddy actually when you got that soft flask in there moving around. It was really difficult to find the right gel that was in. There's only a couple in there. The other ones were in my shorts. So that wasn't the best of solutions. And then what was even more frustrating is I've got this zip on the side there, which is kind of like at an angle. And it was okay to get the GoPro out. That's where I was keeping the GoPro, but it was a bit of a nightmare to actually get the thing back in. I really struggled definitely slowed down trying to get the GoPro in, but just trying to get it in was a bit of a nightmare. I might have to modify this with a bit of stitching and pair of scissors and cutting things up to make it more suitable. But what I really do like about it against my other waist belt is that it's very light. It's that kind of material that doesn't absorb the sweat, so it doesn't get heavier and heavier through the race. It just almost didn't notice it was there, and things didn't shake around in it. So I didn't carry my phone, but if I did carry my phone, that would be how I do it. Incidentally, I'll tell you the story about the mobile phone. As we checked in at the airport in Newcastle, I dropped my phone as on the checking machine, and it's basically knackered the screen. It put a line across the bottom, so if I turn that on, you can see a few little pixels at the top, and that's all you get. You could see the whole screen, but the touchscreen wasn't working, so this is what I needed to pick up my bib, checking the hotel, QR codes, everything was on here, and I smashed it before we'd even left the UK. So it was a bit of a disaster. Fortunately, my wife had a spare phone and I was able to use hers over the weekend, but it took a bit of going to get all the access back, turn all my bank cards on the road, controlled by the phone and stuff like that, but we managed to get it going in the end. So yeah, a bit of stress to deal with as well. I really don't think that had anything to do with the cramp, the race result, but it wasn't the smoothest heading out to Barcelona as it could have been. All my fault. What else? The medal. Do you like the medal? I think it's a bit rattly, it's a bit gimmicky, but I'll take it. I'm not complaining, but it's just I don't think they needed to do this spinny thing. Or do you like that? Let me know in the comments. I don't know. It's a good souvenir, isn't it, from the race? That's my first one. So yeah, 3 hours 45 minutes off my goal. A good 25 or 35 minutes off my goal where I should be. A lot of people say you've got to go out. The traditional way to go out for a marathon is to go out easy and not push too hard. And I think that's actually what Will did, actually, to be fair, the Woo. And I won't speak for him too much, but I think he took it, although we were running together and he was kind of pacing me from the start, he did say to me a couple of times, he'll have to back off here, because he feels like it was easy to go fast for both of us, but he didn't want to go too hard at the start. So 4:15 for me was on the limit. That was the red line. It probably wasn't like that for Will. But yeah, so I could have been, if I'd have run a better race, if I'd have tried to go for the negative split, then maybe I could have run somewhere around the, the 3:10 to 3:20ish. Maybe I could have run around about 3:15 in the end. But for me, it's not always. I am a believer in you can go out faster at the start. Maybe not as fast as I went out for your level of fitness at the time. But this was definitely something I wanted to try, because it's something I can't try and train. How far can I go at 4:15 minutes per kilometre? And I did it, and I tried it, and I got it, and I came back with a poor time, but I wasn't expecting an amazing time. I was prepared to fail. So after running for 2 years, trying to break 3:10 in the marathon, and not PRing in, let's say, it must be 4 or 5 marathons where I've tried to PR, or where I've been the marathons where I could have PR'd, or the conditions and the course were good enough for PR. I haven't PR'd, so I am quite happy. I'm very happy. I haven't been this happy with a marathon. I'm always happy with a marathon, but I haven't been this happy with a marathon for quite a long time. Probably the most happy, going out there and running a pace that I want to run. I want to run 4:15 per kilometre one day for the whole thing, and I got to feel that for 26 kilometres, and so somewhere between the 26k. I mean, I'll take it even up to the 30k mark was good enough. 32 kilometres, the pace there is 4:15, so not bad at all. So somewhere between that 26k and 42k, I've just got to figure it out. So what I do going forward in training. So there's been some good comments on the video that I've got, and people saying to me, Matt, this 40k thing doesn't suit you. I think it does suit me. I do like it. My fitness level is quite good. I can run that 40k long run with 3 times 13 or whatever in it. And it's taken me 2 years to get to that level where I'm not over fatigued. So I'm really happy with the way that I can train like that. There's obviously been some disturbances through the year that I've not been able to train as well as I could do at the start. And I had planned to do some more kind of find a way of running 5k and 10k stints at kind of marathon goal pace, which is 4:15 per kilometre or even faster than that. And I do want to get my 10k time down to 4 minutes per kilometre, so under 40 seconds at some point through the year, although it's not a priority. I'd much rather run a faster half and a faster marathon. So that a bit more of that's going to come in. And also the other thing is I've got a running plan from RunDreamAchieve.com. Go over there, check out his channel. 2:16 marathon, 2:19 marathon, I think. So go and check his channel out anyway. And he's a coach, he's a trainer, he sells running plans. I've got one of his plans, and I've been trying out a few of his things in my training. And now I've got this run up to Berlin. I've got a big chance where I can actually, do a lot of that and get that right. I mean, whereas I'll still be doing my 40k long run, I'm also going to be doing some what he calls varied pace long runs. So you're kind of going out at kind of a bit slower than marathon pace, taking it easy, changing to faster than marathon goal pace, taking it easy, and then going really, really hard, much faster just for a kilometre or something like that, and trying to mix it up and teach your body to be adaptable and change all these different paces and really push yourself when you think you can't. So that's something I'm really looking forward to going forward. Also, something Will recommended to me, and it's been mentioned a couple of times over the years that I haven't really taken on very well, but Soreen as a carb loading source. And in the days running up to the marathon, I think I'm going to go buy Tesco's of Soreen or something for my next marathon, and I'm definitely going to try it in training, because it's really, really dense, and I've heard a lot of good reports about it, that people have used it for carb loading or part of the carb load, and it works really, really well. So I'm going to try that, and Also, when I was carb loading the 3 days before, not really much on the Thursday, but the Friday and the Saturday, I was eating a lot of rice and a lot of kind of like normal food. You'll have seen that in the race video. But what I want to do is what I've heard about with other runners is I mean, I've tried to keep it a bit cleaner, but I've heard about other runners taking on more sugar-based stuff, carb drinks and stuff like that. Obviously the Soreen has got high sugar content in it and stuff like that. So I want to try and I'm toying with that. I mean, I've done other long runs where I've had like a double pack, a large pack of what they call them, munchies, chocolate munchies, and probably the whole pack, because it's a big double one, it's probably had about 1,000 calories in there. So just dumping that into the body really quick gives a lot of carb storage, whereas I'm probably not getting that from the slightly cleaner carbs like the rice and things like that. Whereas I probably won't stop doing the rice or even pasta it sometimes. I'm probably going to introduce some other higher sugar content carbs for the carb load. I think that's about it, isn't it? I'm sure everybody's got some questions. Thanks very much for sticking with me. Yes, we will crack 3 hours one day. It might be next year, might be this year, might be 5 years, might be 20 years, although I don't think I'll have it in me in 20 years time, but we're still going to keep going. I do want a PB in the marathon again. I'm not too worried about picking off these, let's get a 3:15, let's get a 3:10 and 3:05 before I hit the sub 3. I do want to do that, but if I find a way like I've done with Barcelona to go out there flat out at 32 marathon goal pace, try and do 32 kilometers, I would rather try those things out, because I'm going to get the super compensation that Run Dream Machine talks about and other people have talked about. I've really put myself through a hard effort there, something that I couldn't train anywhere else, and my body will adapt. And already I'm back. I've had 3 runs in this week leading up, so I've had the first run. I went out on Tuesday. I've tried to go for 5k. I couldn't do it. I ran 4k, and like everything was the fascia between the skin and the muscles where I got the problem. The muscles actually aren't too bad, but it was really sensitive probably on the edge of the nerves and stuff like that. So the bouncing up and down was tough. I think I ran like something like 6:45 per kilometre or something like that for 4k. I then had another run which I think was about 8 kilometres. Yeah, then on the Friday I ran another 8 kilometres, and that felt much easier. Pace was for 5:30 in that, so that was just at home, really easy kind of run. But that was good. And then this morning I've just been out today, Sunday, so I've just been out on the hills, 300 metres of elevation gain, 2 hours of running, 22 kilometres. So, and that was good, and I was actually able to pick up the pace to go sub 5 minutes per kilometre, 5:40 or something, 4:40, 4:45 kind of pace at some of the stints, going downhill, of course, just to kind of open and stretch the legs, but without putting too much force in. So I'm quite well recovered, because the last, let's say after 30k, I was already thinking of the next marathon, but my thoughts after the marathon, my thoughts in the marathon at around about 36 kilometres of me summing up how the race has gone. I'd given up on running the amazing PRs and stuff already. But yeah, so thanks very much for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe. We'll get back to some racing. I've got a few half marathons coming up before we go to Berlin. So we've got the Edinburgh half, we've got the Great North Run, and we're back and there's probably going to be some others as well, but I haven't got anything booked there. They're just the 2 that I've got booked. What else have we got? Got the half marathon in Manchester as well, but that's in October. That's after Berlin. So lots coming up on the channel. I really do appreciate you watching and subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, please do that. That'd be amazing. And yeah, thanks a lot. We'll see you next time.
You can move that highest mountain, cross the greatest ocean, walk across the world.
He's fucking thinking, water. Wow, water, so gassy.